We are here joined by Andreu Mas-Colell, the Minister of Economy and Knowledge of Catalonia. Let us talk a bit about the situation of Catalonia. First of all, what are actually the reasons that several parts of Spain do not want to be part of the country anymore?
Well, we'll see. All these things have to be decided through democratic processes. We feel that Catalonia feels itself as an old nation in Europe. We had always difficulties to fit in Spain and to be accepted as we are. We thought that we had found a reasonable arrangement after the transition to democracy, after the Franco dictatorship, but unfortunately in the last 10 years that has been rolling back on those agreements, and in a sense we are back to square one. In particular, in 2006, a new statute, which a new political arrangement was voted by the people in Catalonia. It was voted, and that's very important, by the Spanish Parliament, and then at the instance of the Popular Party, which is currently in government, was rolled back by the Constitutional Court. That's the origin of the current difficulties.
And Scotland was allowed to hold a referendum, but in the end only 45% of the votes were in favour of Scottish independence.
Yep.
Does this result have an impact on the proudly small Catalonia?
Yes, but the main impact is that we want to be like Scotland. We want to have our vote, and we think that Spain, being part of Europe, which is a democratically grounded area, should behave like Britain and allow referendum. It doesn't have to be necessarily a referendum with two outcomes. Actually, the Scots prefer initially a referendum with three outcomes. We wouldn't mind of that, provided one of the possible outcomes was independence. But we think that it is totally right that we could have this referendum, and actually 80% of the Spanish Parliament, 80% of the Catalan Parliament and 80% of the opinion polls think that we should have this referendum. Then what people will vote, we'll see at the moment of the referendum.
Yeah, and now imagining that Catalonia really does become independent, what would that mean for the Spanish and the Catalan economy?
Whatever happens in Catalonia and in relation with Spain will have to follow a process which will be negotiated, and which will be negotiated. Nothing grave should happen. Currently, we are transferring resources to the rest of Spain, since our GNP per capita is 118 relative to 100 of Spain. We are entirely willing to continue that. So the issue and our conflict is not a conflict over distribution of resources. It's a conflict over our wish for a substantial level of self-government and for the respect of our own characteristics as people. So this transfer could continue, and since we will all be in the European Union, we don't see ourselves outside of the European Union. Nothing drastic should happen economically. Spain is viable without us. We are viable without the rest of Spain, and on top of that, we are willing to maintain the transfer of resources.
Okay. And if Catalonia becomes independent, do you think other parts of Spain would follow the example?
Look, in Spain there are two singular situations. Fundamentally, which are the Basque Country and Catalonia. There is a third region with its own language, but with no strong demand for self-government. So whatever game there is Basque Country and Catalonia.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.